Going on YouTube? What's going on, man? What's going on? What's going on? Um, just came to, holler at you guys. I really ain't got much to talk about, really. I was going to tell you about my week last week. Um, Started off Sunday in Omaha, Nebraska. Um, with that being said, that's where my week got messed up at, is up there in Omaha. Um, got a whole bunch of snow to come through. I went to Rue Materials. Now, if you call Rue Materials up there, they're going to tell you every time that they do not have overnight parking, but that's BS. They do. Um, Trucks are parked there every night, um, right there in the drive where they're going to make you untarp and everything. They're going to make you do all of that right there. So, um, I was parked there. A bunch of snow came through. Guy showed up and it made me and a TMC driver move. Well, at that point, it was midnight. So if I had already stopped my clock and everything at midnight, I didn't get out of there until 1 o'clock in the morning. He had to plow the back for us to go around to leave. So at 1 o'clock in the morning, I couldn't start my clock until 11. Started my clock at 11, got over there. They still made me wait to get unloaded. I didn't get out of there until 4:30. So then from there, I went all the way to Fort Dodge. The roads were kind of bad, so I just stayed at Fort Dodge. I got up the next day. I had a two-stop Home Depot, one going to Kansas City, and the other one went down to Joplin. So I made the first one. I went down to Joplin. I got down there and stayed the night in Joplin. Then I bounced all the way over to Kubota over there in Edgerton. Now at this point, you got to think my week's already messed up. At this point is when you got to call everybody and let everybody know that you might not be home. Sometimes you can work a miracle and sometimes it works out in your favor, but at that point, that far behind, yeah, it takes a lot to even make it home. But I was set up. I was set up decent. I was. I got over to Edgerton. I got loaded up. I got strapped down. I got secured, and I made my way down towards. I had all three stops in Louisiana: Welch, Louisiana; Donaldsonville, Louisiana; and St. Rose, Louisiana. Now, here's where I ran into the problem. See, if I would have got the first one off in Welch on Thursday. Yeah, if I would have got the first one off in Welch on Thursday, I would have been fine. But I couldn't. Which left me all day Friday. I'm down in southern Louisiana getting all three of these stops off. Which at that point, you're not going home. Now, I will say the company will try their best to get you home, but there's no way that you're going to make it home and be able to take a 34-hour reset and be back on the road. It's just not going to happen. So it's best to just go ahead and tell them that to go ahead and run you and take your 34 hours somewhere on the road. So with that being said, I got all three of those stops off. Then I called my dispatcher. He says, okay, go up to Mississippi and pick up this load of lumber. But check this out. You got to be there before 4 o'clock. It was already 1:30. Y'all know we can only run certain mile per hour going down the road. So with that being said, I was running balls to the wall over to up to Mississippi. Now, don't get me wrong. I still had plenty of drive time left, but it was making it before 4 o'clock. So I got there at 3:55. 5 minutes to spare. So I got there, I got loaded up, I got strapped down, got my paperwork and everything. And then I went around the corner to the truck stop and tarped my load. And it was a 3 tarper. So I tarped my load. Then I got back on the road and I made it to Lafayette, Louisiana, and that's where I shut down at, because when I shut down, I had, I want to say, like 25 minutes left on my clock. So that's where I took my 34-hour at, is in Lafayette, Louisiana. Which the load that I dropped off came over here to Austin, so it was no big deal. I was I was only about 6 hours away, so I didn't have a crazy drive on yesterday. So then after that, um, I started my 34, and I decided, well, I don't want to stay in the truck, because you got to think, it was hot in Louisiana. It was 75 degrees down there. I'm thinking the whole weekend except for yesterday. So it's 75 degrees outside. You got two options at that point: sit in here and bake, or run your truck all night. Well, I've been idling the truck a lot here lately, especially up north in Kansas and Nebraska and all of them places up there where it's cold. So I decided, okay, I'm not going to run my truck. I'm not going to even stay in my truck, because I don't want to sweat. So I got me a hotel room. So I got my hotel room. I went to my hotel room, stayed the night, got up the next day, Ubered back to my truck. Now, when I get to my truck, I kind of had a feeling, but I didn't know until I went around the corner. I get to my truck, and guess what somebody did? Boom, hit it. Now, y'all know I just got rid of the hood of shame. Y'all know that. I just got rid of the hood of shame, and now I got to get it back. So, so now you got to think. You got to think about how mad I am. Okay, so one, I didn't make it home. No big deal about that, though. And then two, a man gets out of his truck to go to a hotel room to relax. Because sometimes you want to go to somewhere and just relax and lay in the bed and watch some TV, But that's what you do when you get home anyways, if you can. So I go to the hotel room, and I come back, my truck's hit, and I'm just like, well, dang, like, how worse can this weekend get? Because I just wanted to relax. Luckily, a guy seen the accident, and I literally called my dispatcher on Saturday as soon as I seen it, and I let him know. I went inside and had them run the cameras. But in between all of that, a guy actually called in with all the information of the driver who hit my truck. So it kind of worked out. Now, with that being said, I was kind of skeptical. Now, mind you this, I was in a hotel room for 2 days because I couldn't I wasn't going to be able to get a refund. So I was like, okay, well, how do I do this? So what I did was I took my truck, and the last reserved parking spot was open. I moved my truck to the last reserved parking spot. So on my right-hand side was a curb, and on my left-hand side, the truck could back in. Now, in front of me, they had enough space to pull forward and back straight in. Even though it was at an angle, they could have backed in at an angle, but they could have seen everything and not hit my truck. Well, luckily, before I left my truck again to go back to the hotel, before I left my truck again, a driver pulled up and parked beside me, and I went over to him and asked him if he was going to be parked there all night, and he said, yeah, I'll be here all night. That eased my mind right there. I went to the hotel room. I went to bed. I got up the next morning, Ubered back to my truck, and everything was fine. I mean, I still had the messed up part from the day before, but everything was fine. So, guys, just sometimes your weeks ain't going to be good. Sometimes you're not going to get home. I will say this is the first time I haven't made it home in 8 months. So that's good. That's actually great and amazing. The first time I don't make it home in 8 months. No big deal. But I told them to run me, so they got me a decent load, and now I'll go home this weekend. You know. Plus, I get to miss all that cold and stuff that they got going on up there in Kansas, anyways. So hey, I'll get to see everybody this weekend. No big deal. Sometimes it happens out here. That's just the nature of the beast. But with that being said, guys, stay safe out here. Watch out. People will hit your truck and run off. It's best if you can get as much information as you can. Hopefully somebody sees it if you're not in your truck or around your truck. And if they do, good. If not, if somebody hit your truck, there's nothing you can do about it, because at that point they would have hit it whether you was in it or out of it. So just to let y'all know, you don't have to be restricted to the truck. And what also saved me was I was in prime parking. They had cameras there. So hey, they had cameras just for prime parking. None of the other spots had cameras just for prime parking. So hey, it works out. But with that being said, I done been on here a little longer than I wanted to be. Y'all keep y'all wheels spinning and the beavers grinning, and we'll holler at you later.